This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions, www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.
Well, hello, everybody. This is Readers Entertainment Radio, and I am Patricia W. Fisher, here ready to give you another great chance of escapism in a fabulous book. And I have a wonderful author today to tell you about. So, Katie Golding is a racing fan with a writing problem. The recovering cheerleader lives in a small town outside of Austin, Texas, and mom to a future philanthropist, and wife to a Superman. And her writing playlists range from 80s love songs, 90s grunge, and 2000s punk to new age underground in less time than it takes to burn her dinner. And she is currently at work on her next romance novel, unless she's tweeting about it. But her latest release, her debut release, is out now, came out this week, called Reckless. And I'm super excited to talk to her about it. It is Katie Golding. How are you today, my dear?
I'm doing great. Actually, just real quick, Fearless came out this week. Reckless will be coming out next year, but I totally get that. So, yeah, I'm super excited about Fearless. So I'm so glad to be here and talking to you today.
That's right. It's Fearless, then Reckless, and then do you have something after that one?
Yes. So the third book in the series will be Lawless. So we're keeping in the racer-less game theme going on there. So
I love it. So tell me why racing? Because, a lot of people have done, stock car racing. They've done racing, like the cars, but this is motorcycle racing.
Right. So in 2014, my husband got tickets to a MotoGP race through his work, and I didn't know anything about motorcycle racing or anything, but I thought, yeah, this will be fun. We'll take our kid. We'll go. And we went, and it just blew me away watching these guys just barrel down these tracks and taking these deathly turns, and the vibration of the bikes, the sound. I've always been kind of a gearhead car girl. I just fell in love with this sport. And by the time we left, my husband turned to me and he said, you should write a book about, motorcycle racers making, a motorcycle romance. And it wasn't long before words were on a page, and it's completely taken over my world, and I love MotoGP sport. They've just come back, started racing again the last couple of months after all the COVID business, and I'm going to be really, really sad to leave this sport and move on to other things in the high-octane world, but it's been a blast to really dig in and show this other aspect of motorsport and things like that. So it's a really exciting new venture.
So you went, and tell me how. Obviously, the track is obviously different than, say, race car tracks, because obviously you're not going to be going the distance. It's not going to be the same amount. What are the main differences in just the basic setup of everything?
Sure. So if the closest thing to relate it to is probably Formula One. So, like in NASCAR, they go around and around in a loop. Versus Moto Grand Prix, this is more of track racing. So these tracks have a lot of turns, like hairpin tight turns. So they'll look like a little squiggly line that'll make a full loop, basically. So they'll start off from the starting line, basically, and then it's, right and left and all these things like that. And then they'll usually do about 25 laps. So the races last about 45 minutes long. Usually about 20 guys on the grid or so, and then they're all battling for position. So it's very much a physical battle, a mental battle. The mechanics of the bikes really come into play between the manufacturers. So it's a very aggressive sort of racing. Instead of just doing like drafting like you would do in stock car, this is very much a battle of wills, a mental game of, can I overtake you in this turn, and am I going to push you out, are you going to wreck, things like that. So we have gravel, we have grass, different obstacles that they kind of go through. It's a lot of people will confuse it with motocross, which is the dirt jumping, but this is track racing with checkered flags. So
And so is it like, so I know NASCAR and these different other races will do, you collect points all year.
Yes.
And so Right. Is it the same, or is it per race?
Yes.
I mean, I know NASCAR is too, but I mean, is it divided up like that?
Sure. So, we have about 20 races now within the season, and so each finishing place will earn points, basically. So first place you get 25, second you get 20, and you kind of go from there. And then these will add up over the season into the World Championship standings. So every race is important. You always want to try and, finish first if you can and rack up those points for an individual in their World Championship standing, as well as for your manufacturer, whether you're racing for Yamaha or Ducati or Honda or things like that. So it's very much a huge part of the series is collecting those points. The second book is actually more racing focused. The first book really is we're dealing with publicity issues and injury issues and trying to maintain a career through injuries and things like that. Later on in the series, leaderboards will actually come into play. My poor publisher having to craft these and make them. There was a lot of math involved. But, yes, so the placements really become a fighting factor in making sure that you're hitting those podiums, that, you're representing, you're earning your spot, basically. So.
Wow. Yeah, it's a whole new thing. But you mentioned that you were kind of a gearhead. I mean, did you have people in your lives that said, hey, come here, let me show you how this works? I mean, were you already familiar with how it works?
I'm very lucky to have a husband who rode motorcycles for a very long time. We met pretty much because he had a black Cobra Mustang, and I was like, hey, what's up with your car?
Right.
So I've always fast cars, loud cars, racking pipes, the way they lope. I will roll down the window, listen to a diesel truck purr at a red light. So I was very much intrigued by the idea of these very loud, very fast bikes. So the way that the MotoGP bikes work is that they are prototype bikes. So we have, in the racing world, there is what's called the superbike circuit, which is actually what the heroine, Taryn, she's a superbike racer. And these are production bikes. These are bikes that you can go buy in a dealership or something like that, but then people take them and then they race them on these track circuits. MotoGP takes it to the next step forward. So these bikes are fully customized. We're hitting speeds of upwards of 200 miles per hour. They are deathly fast. You have to really be kind of another level of human to be able to control it, to wield it at that space and at that speed, because they're going from, 195 miles an hour to, 90 miles an hour in a turn. And it's up, down, quick. So it's very adrenaline rushing, super, super fast.
Yeah, I guess so. I've talked to my kids about this, and so we'll see some people, on weekends or whatever, and they'll have their they'll be out on their bikes, and I'll say, oh, they're wearing their leathers, and I've told them that you wear leathers so you don't get ripped up if you get thrown. It's not just like a hey, I'm a biker type thing. And, of course, they all point out if someone's not wearing a helmet because that's just terrible. But they're not happy. They also announce very loudly if someone's smoking and wonder if they know if it's bad. And I think, well, after hearing you yell that, I'm sure they do. But that's anybody. It doesn't matter if they're riding, a bike. But how does that play in something like this? I mean, what is the protective equipment involved here?
So they are wearing full leathers. A lot of times it's actually a kangaroo leather versus cowhide. I can't believe I actually know this. This is years of research for you. But it's a little bit tougher. It's a little bit lighter. Underneath, they're wearing protective plates, inserts directly against their body, which are Kevlar and titanium mixtures. Thing that looks almost kind of like an armadillo spine. So if you look at the back, it's kind of a huge hump that comes up, and it creates a protection for the spine and will streamline down off the back of the helmet to create the airflow. Because when they're ducked down, we want the air to come smoothly over the top of the bike, come over the helmet, and then down the spine. Because usually they're ducked all the way down. They don't sit up or so creating that stream. So they will have elbow pads on as well. They kind of look like just like a regular elbow pad, but it's going to be really big and bulky. And the same for their knees, because very often the knees and the elbows may even actually touch the ground in a turn when they're leaning so far over to cut these turns at that speed. The knees and the elbows will touch the ground, if you can imagine doing that at 150 miles an hour. So, yeah, full helmets, full leathers, protective plate elbow sliders, knee sliders, racing boots, racing gloves. But that's it. I mean, that's pretty much it. It's just you and the bike. They've made a lot of improvements in safety measures over the last few years. A lot of riders, they crash and they slide and they get up and they walk away. And it's really amazing to see. But sometimes things do happen. There was a race last weekend that happened in Jerez, Spain, and it was really exciting. And a lot of guys ended up wrecking out. Actually, it was 2 weeks ago, and one of the current world champion, Marc Marquez, his tire hit a curbstone. It flipped him over. He skidded through the dirt, and the bike swung around and hit his arm. And just barely touching it actually broke his arm, and because it happened so fast. So unfortunately, things like that do happen. Some people do get hurt. Some people unfortunately pass away. But it's not nearly as common as it used to be. They've made huge strides in the safety of the sport. So,
wow. I mean, it's a lot to go into it. I mean, I think I was talking to my son about this. I said, everybody always wants to be famous, whatever, basketball player, actress, writer, doctor, whatever, nurse. But we can all hope for it, but it's the actual putting in the hours. And if you're willing to basically get beat up by the process, then, but it's a lot. It's a lot to think about.
It is a lot. And especially for these characters in this story, because my characters are based in Memphis, is where they're from. And MotoGP takes place in Europe and Asia most of the year. They come to America once now. They used to come a couple of times. They used to go to the Indianapolis circuit, Laguna Seca in California, and now they just come to Austin. So there's a lot of traveling time. They are bouncing between countries with maybe a couple of days downtime in between. They're dealing with jet lag. They're dealing with time differences. They're going from practicing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, racing Sunday, flying Monday, getting there Tuesday, press on Wednesday, practice on Thursday. I mean, it's just nonstop. And they start practice in February. The circuit starts in March typically, and then will run through mid to end of November. This year's a little bit different because of COVID. Right. But it's typically 9 months of the year, somewhere between 19 and 20 tracks. They keep adding more, and the racers are like, oh my gosh, you guys, we need some downtime. But it's physically grueling. It's the travel is a lot, the distance is a lot. It takes a lot of mental stamina, physical stamina.
So what is and we'll get to this because we're going to talk about your characters, but I mean, what is your typical age for someone like this? In their 20s, their 30s? I mean, what is...
Yeah, it depends on what level they're at. Most of these guys will start when they're really young. Like, they'll start go-karting when they're in their, 5 to 7-ish, maybe 10-ish range. Usually when they're about 15, they'll start hitting the very bottom levels of what's called Moto 3, when it's kind of the first beginner levels. And then we'll see them come up into their early 20s-ish when they finally advance to the top tier, which is MotoGP.
Okay.
So we have a new guy that's in MotoGP right now. He's a 21-year-old Frenchman. He just won 2 races in a row. He's super young. He's super fast. We're excited to see where he goes. His name is Fabio Quartararo. But most of the guys are in their early 20s because it is very demanding physically. The eldest racer right now is Valentino Rossi, and he is pushing 40, actually maybe 41. He's basically the god of motorcycle racing. This guy's been around forever, and you just can't beat him. But it's getting tough at his age to keep up. It's 100 degrees when they're racing. It's a 45-minute race. You're sucking exhaust fumes. I mean, you're in full-blown leathers, it's hot. It's hot. And you're trying to tilt this bike this way and that way and keep up with 21-year-old guns. So it's tough to hang in there as the older that you get. And I think, well, in certain sports like gymnastics and things like that, you see your fear of mortality can really start to come into play as you get older. The things that you're risking become greater. You start to have a family. The stakes get a little bit higher, I think, as well.
Sure.
So
there's more life investment involved versus just race. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But it gets harder and harder to walk away. If you're able to keep up, it's harder to know when to walk away. So the big question now is, when is Valentino Rossi going to retire? And nobody really knows. He keeps putting it off. But, hey, he just came in second last week, so maybe the guy should stick around for a little bit longer. So who knows
and it's
what's
always the question of, it's always a question of, do you go out on top, or do you wait until you have, you're just using fumes? Yeah. So I mean, it's so individual.
Yeah, and there's only like 20 spots on that grid, so it's a big question of, are you taking up space that could be used for someone that's young, that deserves a chance, that's coming up? Like, should you maybe, look to being a manager? Maybe you can retire into being a test rider, which we've seen happen with Jorge Lorenzo, who used to be the rival of Valentino Rossi when he started. So he came up, he made a big splash, they were rivals, and then he retired before Rossi did. And it was like, wait a minute. So we have these eras of riders, basically, and so we have a new class that's coming up, and they are wicked fast, and the older guys are just going, what is going on? Like, how are we going to keep getting these guys? So, I mean, they just keep getting faster and faster and faster, like it happens in all careers, I'm sure. The new class comes up, and you're like, what am I going to do with this? So.
Right. But I mean, and I was talking to someone recently about, talking to your kids, and we can try and prepare them for a lot of things. But they're only going to listen to so much anyway. But it's also what is applied theoretically, and then what is applied in reality. And so, we can have all these young people, and, we were all young people once that, had all the answers and everything else, but there's nothing that really teaches you as much as true experience. And so,
absolutely.
The experience part is something you just don't read out of a book or learn, without, the whole thing. So it's always very interesting to see how things like that play out. And so when you were talking about it being really, really hot on the grid, your books are really, really hot. So please tell us about this first. Let's tell us about Fearless and what's up.
So Fearless now you'll kind of get an idea where I'm pulling inspiration. We talked a little bit about some of the real racers here. Billy King is the current world champion racer. He's the guy to beat. He's been around for a little bit. He's been really racking up those wins. And he's at the end of the season, so they just finished racing in Valencia. He just won another world champion, and his girlfriend has just broken up with him. So he's going to head home to Memphis, and he's hiding an injury. There are already people that are pushing for him to retire, to make room on that grid, to go ahead and hang it up, and he's not quite ready, He's at the start of his life. He's like 27. He's, got a woman that he loves. He's looking to make moves in that, but everyone wants him to just, walk away from his career. So he is at the top of his game. He heads home with a broken ankle and a broken heart, and he's got to win Taryn back and heal his ankle before he goes back to the circuit in February. So he's got a very short amount of time to fix all that's gone wrong in his life. Like I mentioned before, Taryn happens to also be a superbike racer. Unfortunately, this means that they are racing in opposite places, usually at the same time. So when he's in, like, France, she's off in Spain. So we have a long-distance issue. We have a timing issue. We have competing priorities. She's very much looking to correct some things about her racing image that she's uncomfortable with, and really have people recognize her for her skills on a bike, her placements on a podium, versus the fact that she used to be a beauty queen. So there's a lot going on there. It is a dual point of view, dual timeline, second chance romance.
Okay.
So, yeah.
It's a lot going on, but
I mean, there's a lot going on.
But
there's horses, there's kissing, there's traveling, there's pretty much everything that I can jam pack into that I love between racing and being a Texan and putting it all in there, and it's my heart on the page. And I actually call this book my victory lap because it was written in pure joy. So it's actually very sweet and very soft, and Billy is, even though he's this really fierce, really fast motorcycle racer, explorator, he has a heart of gold. And he just makes me swoon all over the place. I mean, they just don't make him better than Billy. So, which I say so humbly, having written him. But he just came out this very gentle-handed cowboy who loves his horse. It's it's his best friend. He will basically do anything for him. And he loves Taryn, and he's really gotten himself backed into a bad corner because he made a very big mistake that caused her to break up with him. So he's got to go fix all these wrongs in his life. So he's got to win Taryn back. He's got to save his career, whole deal.
Well, and we as readers have to decide if he's truly redeemable. So we have to read the book to find out.
Right, right. Yep. That was one of the reasons actually why I ended up writing it as a dual timeline, because I felt that if I'm going to start the book with a guy that's been dumped, we may want to find out why she even liked him in the first place. So Taryn's point of view in the book is actually when they meet. So her point of view takes place about 9 months before, and we will actually see them meet the first time, have their first dance, their first kiss, totally fall in love, all the way up to the earth-shattering break. Meanwhile, in Billy's point of view, we're seeing him try to stitch all these pieces back together. So for me, it was really important to show why this relationship was worth saving, why he was worth forgiving. So we really, through Taryn's eyes, see her fall in love with Billy, and hopefully the reader falls in love with him as well, and we'll be like, okay, well, just give him another chance. I mean, come on. I mean, he's a really good guy. But, yeah. There's a couple of tricks
that's interesting. It's like
in there for fun.
It's like you took two strings, so instead of pulling it all the way through, you're already pulling one midway because it's, present to, breakup to getting back together, and then you're pulling the other string towards the middle. And putting those pieces together. So what a cool idea to have them on different timelines. I mean, what pushed you, or had you seen that done before in a different series, or was it just something that just worked when you were thinking about it?
It's just weirdly, it felt very natural to me to do it this way, because I've never written a dual timeline before. So this was my first attempt at it, to be very honest. It was a unique challenge for me craft-wise. Boy, was it a challenge craft-wise to keep all the pieces together. So, like, in his first chapter, the first chapter of the book, he knows things that the reader won't discover until almost the end of the book, basically. And so trying to keep that all straight. But like I said, it for me, it was really about redeeming qualities, making sure that I'm writing a hero that we want to root for, that we're writing a couple the readers want to see get together. And for me, I love a meet cute. So, I mean, I was like, how am I going to go back and make sure I understand or bring across clearly why this relationship is so worth saving? And for me, instead of just saying, well, we really loved each other and it was this really epic romance, I wanted to show it, because I'm right. I mean, you hear all the time, show, don't tell, but I really wanted to show what was so special about this couple. And not only that, but kind of give a glimpse into the future that they could have and hopefully will have, provided that they're able to make it work. So as they're going through this terrible experience, and as well just to kind of balance out the levity for the reader, because we are starting in a dark moment, things are contentious. She's not talking to him, basically. I think her first words to him are to F off, on the page.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, right. So, I mean, how are we going to fix this? She won't even talk to the guy. So in order to bring back the balance of hope and balance out all that angst, really, was to show the flip side of it. Show the joy. Show the anticipation. Show those tingles, those first butterflies. So it was a really
there's nothing
fun
like first
adventure.
Butterflies.
Yes, yes. I mean, and she doesn't want anything to do with him when she first meets him either. I mean, he's a bull rider. She doesn't want to date bull riders. He hits on her at a rodeo. She's like, get away from me. She finds out he's borrowing someone's horse. She tries to take his horse. I mean, like, there is all sorts of stuff going on, but he just steals his way into her heart little bit by little bit, and you really get a sense on who he is, why he's kind of dismissing the breakup, because he basically comes home and is like, hey honey, what's going on? And she's like, dude, I just broke up with you, like, what are you doing? So and it just kind of explains more who this guy is. So he's very confident but very sweet, and he has this pesky brother who keeps getting in the way. So full bromance alert. Billy's got a brother, and he's very much a part of the story, and I love a good romance. So it's all about these relationships and boundaries, and when do you sacrifice things, who's worth sacrificing things for, growing up and to new relationships. I very much tilt towards the new adult side of age range, so we're having our first real relationships. Our parents are still involved, you know. I mean, they're a big part of our lives. We're buying our first houses. We're having our first big careers, all those things. So,
well, I laugh about your comment of, buying the first houses and doing all the new adult stuff, because I've been, since everything with COVID started at night, sometimes I'll go through BuzzFeed and take, like, a tremendous amount of, like, not important quizzes. And which Disney princess are you?
I love BuzzFeed. I know, they're the greatest.
But they had it to where things that people didn't know, or things that people didn't realize their friends didn't know. It was kind of like that. So like 25 things. It was on Reddit, like somebody put it on there, and stuff like my friend got a note from the HOA because she hadn't mowed her grass, and she had just bought her first house, and she thought the city mows your grass.
Oh my goodness!
Or
yes.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Mhm.
Yeah. Or what do you mean I don't have water? I thought it just comes with a house. You know, those kind of things. What do you mean?
Right.
So it's a lot of stuff like that. It's always amazing to me what you know, but what you think you know, and what you don't know.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's tremendous. My husband and I just bought our first house 2 years ago, and I was absolutely in that same boat. And I'm just going, I don't know how this works. And they're walking us around the house, and they're going, this box is for this. And I'm looking at my husband going, are you taking notes? Because I don't got any of this out. Like, it's totally new world. Like, what does closing on a house mean? Like, what is escrow?
Right.
What are all these words? I mean, you've heard them so many times, but really going through it. And, yeah, I really enjoy that age. I love writing adult characters. I definitely love being in that adult world, but I think it's a very important time period when you're really taking those first steps really out of the nest. So my characters do live at home, mostly because they're traveling so much. So financially, it really doesn't make sense for them to be living on their own unless they're in a serious, committed relationship. So our parents are involved. You know, he's got to get past mama, you know, all of those kind of things. You know, he's got to stand up to his dad and be like, you know what, I ain't helping with the goats anymore. I'm out of here. So I love the dichotomy of you're an adult, but you're still learning how to be an adult.
Yeah.
And I feel like that age is extending longer and longer and longer versus it used to be 18, you're out the door, you know, you're good to go. And now, you know, you're 26, you're 27, and you're like, they get a mailbox at the post office. So
I know that when I went to UT for a few years, had a fabulous time, and then had to leave because I had to readjust, like go to class, and so came home, regrouped, worked, went to nursing school, and then when I got my nursing degree, I remember running down the driveway. My parents were kind enough to say, just come regroup, but you're going to have to work, get yourself back together. And so I remember running down the driveway saying, I passed my nursing license, I'd like got my registered nursing, and my dad said, congratulations, you have 1 month, get out. And I was like, all right.
The way? Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. He's like, I'm done. All of you need to leave.
I know.
I'm ready to be alone with your mom.
I love it. Well, see, and I just feel like, and so often, especially in adult romance, if like the parents are involved or families involved, they're much older or they're having heart attacks or something like that.
Sure.
I really wanted to show families kind of in a different state. So, moms are working, dads are working. I mean, everyone's fine. I mean, they're watching movies, having family dinners. He's sneaking in the window at night. I mean, so we're adult, but we still have some of those almost teenage kind of playfulness instincts. Like I said, I'm really kind of bordering the age group here, but all the fun of the adult romance world with some of those really nostalgic, fun memories of being younger and a little bit wild, because these guys just don't want to follow the rules at all.
Well, I wouldn't think someone who took the cautious way to things would be doing this sport. So,
no, not quite. Funny that Taryn, our heroine, did it all right. So she was, the local beauty queen. She did all that stuff. She barrel races. She's, champion rodeoer. Went to Baylor for 4 years, got her degree in sports medicine, was going to follow that path, and then, in her words, flipped it off to go race motorcycles for a living. So, we have these characters that are really good at following the rules. They know where the line is, and they know when to cross it. And
right,
because it's that line between, living dangerously and living recklessly. Really. And,
exactly.
Mhm. So
yeah,
some of them are
so
much
you've
more
got
reckless than others.
Right. So you've got second chance romance, you've got these dual timelines, you've got all this stuff, and you've crammed all this stuff in, as well as secondary characters, because it would not be totally fantastic. It would be fantastic, but it's totally fantastic because now we also have secondary characters that get their own stories. Correct?
Oh yes. So you will. Oh yeah. It's just this little universe, and it's very cyclical. So, book one is Billy and Taryn's story, and in it we meet Lorelai, who was actually the original heroine inspiration for the whole series, which is a very weird story. Yeah. So the book two was actually the first book that was written in the series, which is Rivals to Lovers, between Massimo Vitolo, who is an Italian racing superstar, and Lorelai Hargrove, who owns this horse ranch. Billy worked at the horse ranch, stole her motorcycle basically one day when he was bored and got pulled over speeding, going very quickly, and her manager was like, hey, you should come practice with us. And that's kind of how Billy got started racing. It's so weird. So we will meet the book two characters in book one. They will have a very intense, very rivalish two lovers romance in book two, which is Reckless. There is a huge wreck that is the center of it, along with the scramble to make some podium placements, which is where all the fun math comes in. And then book three, we're actually going to come back around to Billy's younger brother, which is Mason.
Okay.
And where Billy is stable and sober and steady, and Mason is the absolute opposite of him. And he is the one that makes the bad decisions. He's the one with the rowdy ideas. He's the one that's staying out late drinking. And, he's got a girl in every city and every track and never dates a woman twice. So we have the polar opposites here, and I love these brothers because they will do anything for each other, and they will protect each other at all ends. So we will meet the heroine for that book within book 2. So things that happen in book 1 are going to come back to haunt us, basically, in book 3, where it's all going to come full circle. So I'm really excited about the arc of this series as a whole. It's really just one big story, but of course they can all be read individually, but I'm really, really excited about it. Mm-hmm.
When you were doing all this, did you said you started with book 2 as book 1, but did you plot the whole series and sit down and do the whole thing, or did you just start with book 1 and then see what grew from there?
So I originally drafted Reckless, which used to be called Circuit of Attraction, back in 2014, and I was working on this book a lot and got an agent. She retired, got another agent, and then finally the series sold. And they said, this is great, but we want to kind of move it in a different direction. So my original plans for how the series was going to go, once I met my editor and we started talking, everything changed. And that's when Billy came into existence. So Taryn was originally a side character in Mossimo and Lorelai's story, and I didn't really know very much about her. And once I met my editor, and she said, we want to go this way and, kind of bring into these elements. And then Billy arrived, and Taryn was like, that's mine. And I was like, okay. And then we had Fearless. And and the whole book basically just came out in one solid chunk. I think it was drafted in something like 2.5 months. It's the fastest I've ever drafted a novel. It just clicked. It was like once my editor was like, we'd really like to, see some more of the Memphis side, the cowboy side, because it was very much all racing all the time. They were never in Memphis. And she was like, let's bring it back home a little bit. I'm a Texas girl. I love being in Texas. I love my state. And she really wanted to emphasize that part of me. And then when Billy showed up, that was that. But Billy came with Mason, and Mason just causes trouble. And so now we've gone from my original inspiration for the series, which was following these different, actually like Psycho-Racer guys. So now we have Memphis Billy and Taryn, and then we'll go to Mossimo and Lorelai. And then we will move to Mason and Kiara. And Kiara is a very good friend of Mossimo, which is how she comes into the world.
Nice. It's fun to draw those connections. It's like, okay, wait, this person goes here, and you're drawing a line, and this is who this is. But I always find it fun when the characters start telling you who they are as you're writing, and it's funny because I've talked to people before, and I know that if it was someone who wasn't a writer, they'd say, "Are your characters talk to you? Are you okay?"
Oh my gosh! Yes, they're out of control. For example, so book 3 is Lawless, right? Never should have named a book that. I shot myself in the foot right from the start, because every outline that I have had for Mason, he has thrown out the window. I'm like, you need to go ride this bull. And he's like, I ain't riding that bull. That bull's going to kill me. I'm going to go drink. And I'm like, can you not do this? Can you just cooperate for once? I'm a plotter. I have ridiculously detailed outlines. Subplots are color-coded. I know exactly where I'm going. Mason's book, he wasn't having it. It's out of order. It's all over the place. I'm on draft number 14. I'm still rearranging chapters. This boy don't want to follow any quarter rules. Versus Big Brother Billy's book, no problem. Outline done.
Yeah.
Book done. Revisions done. By the book. Steady, sober. The characters really drive not only the story, but I feel like the way the story is written. So yeah, which can be very weird and meta, but yeah.
And I always find it fun though, because there's times it's like, oh yeah, she would have chocolate pie for breakfast, and it just you don't know until you're writing these characters, and it's like, oh yeah, they would do that. That's right.
Yeah, that totally would. Yeah. Billy plays with his horse. Taryn watches old musicals, and Lorelai just wants to go run around on her treadmill, and Mason just wants to go party. I mean, you never know what they're going to do. It's just ridiculous. Star Trek has become a huge part of book 3 because they're Trekkies. And so, yeah, that's happening. I just never know where these guys are going to take me. But it's been so much fun just to really watch them come to life, feel them come to life. And they feel so organic to me, which I hopefully will come across the page. So
yeah. So when you, speaking of Star Trek, did you watch any of the Comic-Con at home stuff this past week?
I haven't, honestly. This past week has been such a blur with the book coming out on Tuesday. But I did watch Picard, and I loved every minute of that show. It was so great. I'm a Next Generation girl, so I grew up watching Star Trek Next Generation like on the CW when it would come on after Friends and before Taxi and stuff like that. So I remember watching it, and it always put me to sleep. There was something about the tone and the ambiance and Patrick Stewart's voice, and it would just put me right to sleep. And it was funny, the last couple of years, my husband and I was like, what are we going to watch at night to kind of wind us down? And I was like, Star Trek's on. And then we just got really into it again. And so now that's part of our nighttime routine. So, of course, now it's my character's nighttime routine because you filter in little things like that are parts of your real life.
For sure.
To kind of add that more personal touch. So, yeah.
Because
really,
people are like,
really
I watched that show too, and it makes a huge difference. Yeah, when you're relating to the characters and the people.
Believe, I have a lot of references to Seven Brides for Seven Brothers and Fearless because it's, which is a really old musical. I don't know if
it is
between yes, but I mean it's one of my favorites, and I grew up watching it. I love the dancing. I danced for many years of my life, and so of course my characters end up watching this musical, and it ended up being a perfect metaphor because Taryn is complaining about Mason always being in the way, and she's watching as Millie just comes home after marrying her backwoodsman and realizing that she's inherited 6 brothers-in-law, and she just turned the dinner table on them and stuff like that, and Mason comes busting in through the door. And so it just became this really lovely metaphor that I didn't plan on, between what was going on in their life versus going on in these silly musicals. And I think she watches Gypsy too, because her mom hates Billy, and and she's got a big question of what she's going to do about her life, to take one path or take the other. The relationship's caught in the middle. She's got choices to make, and she's watching Mama Rose belt it out, and so it all kind of filters down. You never know how those experiences within you as a writer are going to filter out, and sometimes that magic happens where you're like, I'm so glad that clicked. So I couldn't have played it at all, but
and it's just fun.
It is fun.
So thank you so much for being here today. And then your next book comes out when?
I don't know. Unfortunately, because of everything that's going on, we are. It was originally slated for December, but we are looking to probably more spring or early summer for next year. To give bookstores a chance to buck up a little bit. But this is out right now. It's out in mass market paperback and an ebook. The audiobook will be coming August 13th. We got a great couple of narrators for it, and I am so excited. Benjamin D. Walker and Ramona Matheson, and they sound wonderful. So I'm super excited about that. But yeah, and I really encourage people to, follow me and check me out. And then as I know more and as updates and covers come up and things like that, trailers, we'll definitely get that information out on Reckless. So I can't wait for it to come. It's my baby. So
I love it. So if you've been listening, this is Patricia W. Fisher with Katie Golding. Way to find her website, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and BookBub, and the links are in the write-up of the show, as well as the buy links for her book.
This show brought to you by Circle of Seven Productions. www.cosproductions.com. Please be sure to subscribe and welcome to our circle.